Have you ever noticed that the more you give to her, the less she gives back? The more you try to make her happy, the colder she becomes. And the harder you fight to keep her, the faster she slips away. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of men are trapped in the same cycle. They pay for every dinner, cancel their own plans, avoid every argument, swallow every opinion, all in the name of love. They think patience and sacrifice will earn respect. They believe loyalty will guarantee attraction. They hope that if they just keep proving themselves, one day she'll finally wake up and see their value. But deep down, you already know the truth. She doesn't see strength in your endless giving. She sees weakness. She doesn't feel admiration when you erase yourself. She feels boredom. And boredom is where attraction goes to die. Here's the paradox. The very strategy you're using to hold on to her is the same one pushing her away. The more you bend, the more she tests you. The more you comply, the less she respects you. And once respect is gone, love doesn't stand a chance. In this video, I'm going to expose why pleasing women too much doesn't make them love you. It destroys you. And I'll show you how to flip the script. So stay with me, because the truth you're about to hear will sting. But it might be the wake-up call that saves your life as a man. Every time you put her happiness above your own, she doesn't see devotion. She sees weakness. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. And the more you deny it, the more you suffer in silence. Let me ask you this. How many times have you told yourself, if I just keep giving, if I just keep proving how good I am, she'll finally love me back the way I want? And how many times has that strategy actually worked? Be honest. Think about the dinners you've paid for without hesitation. She doesn't even glance at the check anymore. It's not a moment of appreciation. It's routine. Or the arguments you avoided because you didn't want to upset her. You smiled, you nodded, you swallowed your truth, and she walked away with more control and less respect for you. Or the countless times you gave up what you wanted, your hobbies, your friends, your time, because you thought making her comfortable was the secret to making her stay. But here's what really happens. Each time you erase yourself, you shrink in her eyes. She doesn't see a man she can respect. She sees a man who fears her reaction more than he values his own. And once she feels that, desire starts to wither. You've been sold a fantasy. Since childhood, you've been told, be nice, be patient, be selfless. Women will love you for it. But the real world doesn't work that way. Because respect is never given to the man who begs for it. Respect belongs to the man who demands it. By living with standards, by drawing boundaries, by refusing to betray himself just to keep someone else happy. The tragedy is that many men don't realize this until it's too late. They wake up one day next to a woman who no longer looks at them with admiration, but with quiet indifference, or worse, contempt. And they can't figure out why. They think, but I did everything right. I gave her everything she wanted. I sacrificed myself for her comfort. Exactly. And that's why she stopped caring, because women don't fall in love with men who exist only to serve them. They fall in love with men who stand for something. Men with a spine. Men who can say yes when they mean yes, and no when they mean no. Men who live by choice, not fear. Here's the brutal irony. The very strategy you use to keep her is the one that guarantees you'll lose her. The harder you work to prove your worth through sacrifice, the less valuable you become in her eyes. Not because she's cruel, but because human nature doesn't reward what comes too easily. It's the law of value. We treasure what's rare, not what's abundant. We admire what's earned, not what's handed out freely. And right now, your time, your energy, your love, they feel cheap because you give them away without requiring anything in return. That's why she tests you. That's why she pushes your buttons. Not because she wants you to cave, but because she's hoping you'll finally push back. She wants to feel your strength, not your compliance. She wants to know that if she steps out of line, you won't fold. You'll hold your ground. That's when she feels attraction. That's when she feels safe. That's when she respects you. But when you refuse to draw that line, when you hand her control without resistance, you don't make her feel loved. You make her feel burdened. And deep down, she starts planning her exit. So ask yourself, are you her equal or are you her servant? Are you the man she chose or just the man who's too scared to say no? If you're honest, you already know the answer. And if that truth burns, let it burn. Because pain is not your enemy. Pain is the signal that you've been living wrong. Pain is the invitation to change. And until you accept that invitation, you'll keep playing a game where the more you give, the less you matter. So why does pleasing destroy respect? Because respect is never born from weakness. Respect comes from strength, from certainty, from a man's willingness to stand on his own ground, even when it risks upsetting her. Think about the word yes. If every request gets a yes, then what is your yes worth? Nothing. It's like handing out trophies to everyone who shows up. At first it feels nice, but soon the trophy means nothing because it cost nothing. That's exactly how your approval feels to her when it's automatic, unconditional, endless. Picture this. She texts you last minute. Come over, I'm bored. You drop everything. Your workout, your plans with friends, even your sleep, just to run to her. The first time she might smile, but after the 5th or 10th time, she doesn't even notice. Your presence is no longer a gift. It's background noise, elevator music, always there, never missed. Now imagine the opposite. A man who gets that same text but replies, "Can't tonight, got plans, maybe tomorrow." Suddenly, his attention has weight. His yes has value. She can't just assume he'll show up whenever she snaps her fingers. She has to earn his time. And that's what makes it desirable. Respect works the same way. A woman doesn't respect the man who avoids conflict at all costs. She respects the man who can look her in the eye and say, "No, that doesn't work for me." She doesn't respect the man who buys her loyalty with endless dinners, flowers, and favors. She respects the man who invests wisely, his time, his money, his energy, because he values himself first. This is where so many men get trapped. They've been taught that being nice is the secret to love. But niceness without boundaries is just weakness, wearing a smile. And women can smell that weakness instantly. They won't always say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel the lack of spine, the lack of fire, the lack of edge. And no matter how polite they are, they can't truly respect a man they know they can bend at will. Here's the paradox. The harder you try to lock down her affection through pleasing, the more she pulls away. The more you chase her respect, the faster it runs from you. Because real respect isn't earned by begging. It's commanded by how you live. Look closely at your own life. Do you speak your mind when you disagree? Or do you smile and nod just to keep the peace? Do you set limits on what behavior you'll accept? Or do you quietly tolerate disrespect? Do you pursue your own passions? Or have you abandoned them to orbit around her? Every choice tells her the truth about you. And if the truth is that you'll betray yourself to avoid losing her, then you've already lost her. Because attraction isn't logical. She doesn't sit there with a notebook tallying your sacrifices. She feels your energy. She feels whether your yes means something. She feels whether you're with her because you choose her or because you have no other choice. And the second she senses you're with her out of fear, her desire for you collapses. It's like fire. A fire needs oxygen to burn. If you smother it, it dies. That's what happens when you flood her with endless accommodation. At first, it feels warm, but soon, it suffocates. And once the flame goes out, no amount of extra wood will bring it back. So understand this. Women don't fall for men who hand out approval like candy. They fall for men whose approval is rare, deliberate, earned. They don't stay with men who erase themselves for comfort. They stay with men who challenge them, who excite them, who make them feel chosen out of strength, not desperation. And until you stop confusing pleasing with love, you'll keep wondering why your loyalty gets met with distance, why your sacrifices get met with silence, and why the more you give, the less she respects you. So what's really driving this pattern? It's not kindness. It's not generosity. It's fear. Most men who live to please aren't acting out of love. They're acting out of anxiety. Fear of upsetting her. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being judged as selfish or not good enough. And that fear leaks into every interaction, even the smallest ones. Think about it. You laugh at her jokes, even when they aren't funny, because you're scared of looking too serious. You agree with her opinions, even when you know they're wrong, because you don't want to spark an argument. You hide your preferences, what you want to eat, where you want to go, how you want to live, because you're terrified she might disapprove. Piece by piece, you cut away parts of yourself until nothing real remains. You call it compromise. She calls it boring. Because what she actually sees isn't your real self. It's a performance. A polished mask designed to keep her comfortable. But comfort doesn't ignite desire. Performance doesn't create intimacy. And deep down, she feels it. She knows the man standing in front of her is not the man inside. That gap between who you are and who you pretend to be is where attraction dies. Here's the brutal irony. The very thing you're afraid of, losing her, is the very thing your fear guarantees. Because even if she stays, she's not staying for you. She's staying for the character you play. And characters are disposable. They can be replaced by the next guy who plays the role just as well. Think of it this way. Imagine she's dating an actor, not a man. Every time she's with him, she sees the lines he's rehearsed, the gestures he's perfected, the smiles that feel forced. Eventually, she gets tired, not because the performance is bad, but because it's fake. She craves authenticity. She craves the raw, unfiltered man behind the mask. And when she realizes she may never meet him, she pulls away. That's why authenticity is magnetic, because it's rare. Most men are too busy adjusting themselves to female feedback, constantly tweaking their behavior in the hope of becoming more likable. But likability is not the same as attraction. You can't strategize your way into being respected. You can't calculate your way into being desired. Authenticity can't be manufactured. It can only be lived. And here's the paradox that terrifies most men. The more you reveal your authentic self, the greater the risk of rejection. But that risk is what makes respect possible. Because when you live honestly, some women will walk away. That's inevitable. But the ones who stay will finally be staying for you. Not for the mask, not for the performance, for the man. Authenticity isn't about being cruel or arrogant. It's not about refusing to compromise. It's about standing firm in your truth, having preferences, setting boundaries, owning your flaws instead of hiding them. And here's the truth. The man who risks rejection by being himself is far more attractive than the man who avoids rejection by being fake, because she can feel it. She can feel when your yes is real. She can feel when your smile is genuine. She can feel when you're not bending out of fear, but choosing out of strength. That energy is magnetic. It draws her in without effort. So the choice is simple. Keep hiding behind the mask and guarantee she'll lose interest. Or drop the act, risk rejection, and finally, give her something she can respect. Because no woman can love a ghost, and no man who hides himself can ever be truly loved. If fear destroys attraction, then boundaries rebuild it. Boundaries are the dividing line between a man who values himself and a man who begs for approval. And here's the reality most men miss. A woman cannot respect a man who doesn't respect himself first. But let's clear this up. Boundaries aren't walls. They aren't cruelty. They aren't about shutting people out or proving you're tough. Boundaries are clarity. They communicate, this is who I am, this is what I allow, this is what I won't tolerate. That kind of clarity is rare, and rare is always valuable. Imagine this. She asks you to skip your workout to help her with something minor. The people pleaser instantly says yes. He thinks he's earning points, but in reality, he's training her to expect compliance. He's teaching her that his needs are optional, while hers are sacred. Now, imagine the man with boundaries. He smiles and says, "I can't tonight. I've got plans. I'll help you another time." That small act speaks volumes. It tells her he values his time. It tells her his commitments matter. And that's exactly what makes him attractive. Because if his time is valuable to him, it becomes valuable to her. This is where most men collapse. They fear that saying no will drive her away. But the opposite is true. Boundaries don't scare away the right woman. They filter out the wrong ones. The woman who storms off because you refused to bend? She was never there for you. She was there for your compliance. Losing her isn't a loss. It's liberation. The woman who respects your no, on the other hand, that's the one who sees your worth. That's the one who leans in, not away. Because boundaries don't push good women out. They draw good women closer. Here's the paradox. The more you risk disappointing her, the more she respects you. Why? Because now your yes carries weight. Your time has meaning. Your attention isn't free. It's earned. And what's earned is always valued. Without boundaries, every act of kindness becomes invisible. With boundaries, even small acts of generosity shine. When she knows you won't bend for just anyone, your decision to bend for her suddenly matters. That's when she feels chosen, not by desperation, but by strength. And here's another truth. Boundaries don't just protect you from her. They protect you from yourself. Without them, you'll sacrifice your peace to manage her emotions. You'll trade your happiness to avoid her discomfort. You'll set yourself on fire just to keep her warm. That's not love. That's self-destruction. But when you live with boundaries, you stop apologizing for your existence. You stop negotiating your dignity. You stop giving away pieces of yourself just to keep someone else satisfied. That's when self-respect takes root. And self-respect is the soil where attraction, respect, and love can actually grow. Because at the end of the day, no woman wants a man who erases himself for her. She wants a man who stands tall beside her, not above her, not beneath her, but beside her, with strength, with clarity, with boundaries. So if you're tired of being invisible, stop begging to be seen. Draw the line, hold the line, live by it. Because a man without boundaries is forgettable. But a man with them, he's unforgettable. Boundaries are the starting line, not the finish. They set the stage for something bigger, authentic masculinity. This is what separates men who constantly chase approval from men who command respect without even asking. So what does authentic masculinity look like? It's not the fake confidence you put on like a jacket. It's not loud bravado or acting alpha for show. It's quiet certainty. It's living by a mission larger than seeking female validation. It's building a life so full, so meaningful, that her presence adds to it instead of becoming the center of it. A man on his path doesn't orbit a woman like a moon around a planet. He's the sun. He generates his own gravity, his own light, his own energy. Women are drawn to him not because he begs, but because he shines. And they know, if they disappear tomorrow, his fire doesn't go out. That's irresistible. Contrast this with the man who has no direction. His only mission is keeping her happy. He cancels his dreams to accommodate her moods. He abandons his hobbies to keep her entertained. He clings tighter every time she pulls away. At first, she may appreciate the attention, but soon, it suffocates her. Because no woman wants to be the entire purpose of a man's existence. That weight crushes attraction. This is why purpose matters. It gives you backbone. It gives you edge. When your confidence comes from your career, your physical strength, your creative pursuits, your brotherhood, you stop depending on her approval to feel alive. That's the abundance mindset. It's the belief that your worth doesn't shrink if one woman walks away. Because your value is already secured by the life you've built. Think about it. Who commands more respect? The man who sits by the phone, waiting for her text? Or the man so engaged in his mission that when she texts, he actually has to make space in his schedule to see her? The difference is massive. One is needy. The other is selective. One is replaceable. The other is rare. And here's the twist. When you stop needing women, women start chasing you. Not because you're cold or cruel, but because your energy shifts. You're no longer the man begging to be chosen. You're the man doing the choosing. And women can feel that difference instantly. Authentic masculinity doesn't mean being selfish. It doesn't mean being a tyrant. It means being complete. A man with standards. A man with direction. A man who shares his world because he wants to, not because he's desperate for validation. And here's the ultimate truth. Only a man who doesn't need saving is capable of real love. Because he's not looking for someone to fill the hole inside him. He's already full. He's already whole. That's the man women fight to keep. That's the man who can love without losing himself. So if you want to be unforgettable, stop trying to prove you're enough. Start living as if you already are. Build your mission. Sharpen your edge. Live with abundance. Because the man who stands solid in himself is the man the world cannot ignore. Breaking free from the nice guy trap doesn't happen with one bold speech or a single act of defiance. It's a process. Years of conditioning won't unravel in a day. But step by step, you can rebuild yourself into the man you were meant to be. The first step is awareness. Most men don't even realize how automatic their people-pleasing has become. It's baked into every reaction. She raises an eyebrow. You fold. She sighs. You cave. She hints at disappointment. You scramble to fix it. Start catching yourself in these moments. Notice the tension in your gut when you're about to say yes, but mean no. Notice the way your chest tightens when you swallow your opinion. That awareness is uncomfortable, but discomfort is a sign that you're finally awake. The second step is small acts of authenticity. Don't try to overhaul your life overnight. Start with the basics. Order the food you actually want. Speak your real opinion in a casual conversation. Say no to a request that drains you. These aren't just tiny wins. They're reps in the gym of self-respect. Each time you honor yourself, you strengthen the muscle of authenticity. The third step is preparing for resistance. Don't kid yourself. People who benefited from your old patterns won't celebrate the new you. Some will push back hard. She might accuse you of being selfish. Friends might say you've changed. And you have. That's the point. Their resistance isn't proof you're wrong. It's proof your boundaries are real. If no one ever gets uncomfortable, you don't have boundaries. You have suggestions. The fourth step is alignment. As you grow, your world will shift. Some people will drift away. Let them. They were attached to your compliance, not your character. And in their place, new people will enter. Friends, mentors, women who respect your truth and are drawn to your strength. This is how you filter your circle, not by force, but by authenticity. Finally, the fifth step is maintenance under pressure. This is the true test. It's easy to be authentic when things are calm. The real battle comes during conflict, when she's upset, when rejection looms, when you fear losing someone you care about. That's when the urge to collapse into your old habits will scream the loudest. But if you can hold the line in those moments, that's when your transformation becomes permanent. And here's the reward. The man who refuses to betray himself cannot be broken. He may lose people, but he won't lose himself. And that unshakable self-respect is exactly what makes others respect him too. So don't wait for the perfect moment to change. Start today. Catch yourself. Speak your truth in small ways. Hold your line when challenged, because transformation isn't one big leap. It's 1,000 small steps, taken every time you choose courage over fear. When you stop living as a people pleaser, you finally meet the real you. And that's the man she was waiting for all along. Not the actor, not the servant, not the shadow. The man with fire, the man with a spine, the man who doesn't beg for approval because he already approves of himself. This is the freedom most men never taste. The freedom to walk into a room without apologizing for existing. The freedom to speak your truth without choking it down. The freedom to love without fear of rejection, because you'd rather be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing love, that's when love starts chasing you. The women who once overlooked you begin to notice. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're no longer trying at all. Your presence speaks for you. Your standards speak for you. Your authenticity speaks for you. The relationships that remain will feel different, stronger, balanced, built on respect instead of pity, built on attraction instead of obligation. You'll realize something powerful. You never needed to beg for love. You only needed to stop betraying yourself to get it. Yes, some women will walk away when you change. Let them. They were never in love with you, only with your compliance. Losing them is not a loss. It's a cleansing. It clears the path for women who respect your boundaries and crave your authenticity. So this is the choice in front of you. keep being the man who sacrifices himself for scraps of approval? Or become the man who stands tall, sets the standard, and attracts respect without asking for it? One path leads to resentment. The other leads to freedom. The question is simple. Are you ready to stop living as her doormat and start living as your own man? Thank you for watching. If this message hit you, don't just scroll away. Subscribe, dive deeper into our content, and start building the mindset that puts you back in control. Drop a comment below. What's the biggest struggle you want us to break down next? Let's build a brotherhood of men who rise above confusion and reclaim their power. See you in the next video.